Let's now speak to Behnam Ben Taleblu, a senior fellow at the Foundation for Defence of Democracies. Behnam is a Middle East security expert who briefs policymakers in the US, the UK and around the world on security issues involving Iran, Hezbollah and other Iranian proxies in the region. And we appreciate you taking time. I know you have to catch a flight very shortly, so hopefully we can speak plenty before then. I wonder what your view of the situation is as it stands right now.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you. In essence, Israel has indeed embraced the military option to try to find a military solution against the Iran-backed terror group Hezbollah in the north. I mean, make no mistake, what we've been seeing for the past week and a half, some would even say 2 weeks, by the Israelis in the covert and in the overt space kinetically against Hezbollah has been nothing short of bold, designed to put Hezbollah consistently to the choice. And that choice is, unless they turn off their rocket fire, their drone fire, their mortar fire against Israel's north, that Israel will be leveling a whole series of deeper and deeper cuts, quite literally taking a page from the Iranian strategy of a war of attrition against Hezbollah. And then should Hezbollah actually respond in a more overt and conventional sense, force that group to have to either save face or risk losing its head. And we saw just last night how the Secretary General of that terrorist group, Hassan Nasrallah, did indeed lose his head.
Okay. But I'm just going to say goodbye to our viewers who are in the UK, leaving us for a short while. We will be back with them in a while. Right, we are still here, Behnam. Let's carry on our conversation. I mean, I wonder what the impact on Hezbollah's capability is. I mean, how difficult is it to assess what the last 10 days has done to Hezbollah? Because the general consensus seems to be that there are still many missiles still in its armory, and it still has a lot of capacity, yet it is reeling from this blow.
Indeed, what we've seen the past few weeks target is really more personnel than capabilities. There have been strikes against UAV depots, against rocket launchers, and even against some of the precision strike missiles that the Islamic Republic of Iran has helped Hezbollah build or transfer and bring onto its own territory. But again, I would like to stress the past 2 weeks, the Israelis have largely been targeting personnel. And now what's left of Hezbollah's command and control are going to have to decide in an exceptionally diffuse manner, what do they do with that rest of the arsenal as the Israelis step up the airstrikes against those projectiles? And here's where the theory of use it or lose it is likely to kick in. If Hezbollah uses it, well, then obviously they'll receive an equal or greater response militarily from the Israelis. And if they don't use it, well, then it's likely going to be detected and struck by the Israelis.
Right. So in a sense, neither side is feeling particularly safer given the uncertainties that they face at this very moment.
I do think the Israelis feel like perhaps it might be too soon to say they're taking a victory lap, but I think the nature of the military successes, again, both covert and overt, they've had over the past 2 weeks are spurring them to reconsider the efficacy of the use of the military tool, not just against Hezbollah even further to find and detect and destroy those precision-guided munitions and other long-range strike capabilities, but to begin to introduce this concept into the region that Iran has sought to deny for the past 2 decades, really, which is Iran has been denying a limited war option for everyone, including the Israelis and the Americans, while enabling one for it. Now the Israelis, with some of the victories in the south and many in the north, are trying to enable a military pathway to victory for them.
I wonder what you make of the US role in all of this, because we seem to have heard about the US being blindsided by the actions of Israel over the last 24 hours. They were not aware that this was going to happen. Kamala Harris just speaking in the last few minutes saying that the US, of course, stands by Israel's right to defend itself, but talks about the solution to all this being a diplomatic one. How realistic does that look right now?
While I do think the closer and closer we get to the election, the more the issue stands to be politicized, I would still say in general, the Iran-backed terror network calling themselves the axis of resistance understands when America says 2 D words at the same time, de-escalation and deterrence, when push comes to shove, they will choose or prioritize de-escalation over deterrence. And you've seen that by the Americans pressing the Israelis being upset about not being tipped off with respect to the Hania attack that killed that Hamas political chief in Tehran, all the way up to this most recent attack against the Secretary General of Lebanese Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah. So I do think the American MO is likely to remain the same unless the war significantly widens, which is to try to foist some sort of ceasefire onto the situation. And ironically enough, despite America and Iran being on drastically different sides, this political sentiment is what the Islamic Republic of Iran is counting on, that the more Israel has military success, the more the threat of a wider regional war will happen, and the more that threat actually weaponizes American restraint and desire for de-escalation to put the political handcuffs on Israel, or at a minimum to introduce more political shocks. So time will tell if the political strategy versus the military strategy holds, but this seems to be Washington's inertia.
Behnam Ben Taleblu, we really appreciate you talking to us there from Washington. Appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us.